Hello everybody, I've just been sent the brand new day-night scope from Arken Optics, introducing the Zulus HD 5-20. Now, I know what you're thinking, who are Arken Optics? And to be perfectly honest, I thought the exact same thing. But they've approached me and said, would I do a review on this optic? And on paper, it looks like it stacks up pretty well to a lot of the others that are sort of sub £1,000 day-night scopes that are on the market. So I'm going to give it a full, unbiased view right now and see how we get on. The first thing that I noticed when I opened the box was the unit looks really, really cool. Very compact and seems to have a lot of features. The second thing I noticed, sadly, was that there's no battery in the box. Now, that's a bit of a downside to me, because if I'm spending 500, 600, 700 quid on an optic, I expect a £10 battery to be in there. So that was the first negative thing. The second negative thing was that when I got an 18650 battery to put in it, it had a raised positive, which most batteries in the UK that are 18650 size have a raised positive. So the battery housing just wouldn't close, and I got frustrated and I put it to the side. I spoke to Arken and said, this is the problem. They said, you need a flat topped 18650 battery. I didn't know there was one or the other. So I searched around lots of shops trying to find the battery I needed, and I finally went into B&Q and they said, no, we don't stock that battery. However, there's a vape shop up the road and I think they sell them, and lo and behold, they did. So if you buy one of these units, beware, you need to buy a battery, and you can either get it on Amazon, or this one I think was £6.50 from a vape shop, and it does have the flat head. The next thing that put me off a little bit was where you charge it from and where you enter the SD card is covered by this, and it's quite coarse and not very friendly on your fingers. It was also really, really tight, so it did take a lot of effort getting it off. But I'm going to stop talking about what I don't like about it, and I'm going to start talking about what I do like about it. Every time I do a review, it's completely unbiased, so I'm going to tell you the positives and I'm going to tell you the negatives. But let's get into some good things. So let's start by seeing what you get in the box. Here's the packaging. Really smart packaging, actually. Nice and simple. You get lens cloth, set of instructions, the unit itself, obviously, I can get it out, rubber eyepiece, a set of Allen bolts and an Allen key, charging cable, and also a rail. So this is what I'm about to fit to the bottom of the scope, and we'll get it sat onto a rifle. As you can see there, it actually comes with a Weaver base, so if you've got a rifle with an 11mm dovetail, you are going to have to put some blocks on to adapt that. So you can get them from Sports Match, or should I say Sports Match manufacture them. We sell them, and they will change it from a dovetail to a Weaver rail. So whilst I fit this rail, let me tell you a little bit more about the unit. It's equipped with a highly sensitive Sony Starvis 2 sensor and an integrated 5W 850 Nm IR illuminator, with an optional 940 Nm IR illuminator. The compact Arken Zulus has the best sensitivity to get you spot on your targets in complete darkness, whether they be rats, rabbits, foxes or any other small ground game. You'll be able to see them at a range as far as 450 metres, which is about 495 yards. That all went together very easily. Okay, so I've just mounted the scope up on this Rexam X Pretensis, the brand new regulated version, and I am going to zero it in now on my range and see how easy that is. So with digital night vision, you generally work on an X and Y axis, which can become confusing. So I'm going to see how good this is. And apparently it has a one-shot zero, so we're going to figure that out. It's got a ballistic calculator in here as well, so if I am understanding correctly, all you have to do is put in your pellet weight, pellet speed, and the height of the scope, and it will work out your pellet drop or bullet drop once you've entered that data and zeroed it in. So let's see how easy it is to do. Right, I need to put this magazine in, and I've not checked it when I went to mount it, so as you can see there, it's too low is the scope, so I'm going to have to go and either move that back or lift it up. Back in a moment. Okay, we're not even on the target. Okay, so essentially what I'm doing here is I'm trying to zero the optic in. Now, it will become clear shortly why I couldn't. So the way the one-shot zero works is you have the optic on and you take your shot and see where it's going, right? The idea is you then move the reticle down to that point using the X and Y axes, and you fire again, and it should then be shooting in that position. At which point you can click save, and then it will return to the center, and you'll be hitting where you wanted to. Now, what I'd failed to do was put the mount the correct way around. So when I'm trying to do this, and it's why I've sped it up, because it was 7.5 minutes of me trying to figure stuff out when it wasn't ever going to zero in because the mount was the wrong way around. So I needed to come really, really far down, and there just wasn't enough adjustment. Now, once I turned the mount round, it was dead easy, which I explain in a moment. So that's why I have done this instead of letting you watch 7 minutes of absolute torture. Right, eventually I've got it zeroed in. Now, this was all my fault. So the unit, now I've got it zeroed in, actually zeroed in very, very easily. But what I'd done was, you see how this mount sat? I had it the other way around. One, causing me problems to get a magazine in, and two, would not zero. So I went and turned it round, and it zeroed in dead easy. So on the bottom, you've got your X and Y axes. I had to move the X, I think, to about -7 to get it exactly in the center. I didn't actually have to move the Y axis at all. But if you're going to buy one of these, make sure you're not like me, as in you're not stupid, and you put the mount on the correct way around. So we've seen the quality of what it's like in the daytime. I've done a bit of footage in here with the lights off, but it's not the best. So let's get it out in the dark and see what we can see. Here's some footage of what the unit looks like when the lights are out. So first of all, I took some footage whilst in the range, and
thought I'd see how clear it was. Now, you have to consider that in the range, it's complete darkness, so the unit is only going to focus on the infrared illuminator. And as you can see, it does a fine job. Now, we're only at 10 meters here, so we're not really pushing the boundaries of the thing. But then when I take it out and we start scanning around some barns and into the fields, the unit really was quite impressive. When I went out, it was freezing cold and it was pitch black. I do some scanning around and I do pick up some rabbits, but apart from that, there was really not a lot to be seen. Now, the Arken Zulus is IP67 rated for waterproofness and recoil rated up to 338 Lapua Magnum, with technology that ensures flawless operations in extreme conditions. Now, I can kind of vouch for this because I was out in -5 degrees at this point and my fingertips were in bits. One thing I will say with the unit is that the IR can be, sorry, not the IR, the rangefinder can be a little bit tricky to find when you've got your eye up against the scope, but I'm sure with a little bit of practice you'd get used to it. One thing that did strike me unusual is that when recording and you're using the rangefinder, the reading for the range does not come through on the video. Perhaps this is something that could be looked at either with a technology update or something that could be inbuilt for the next unit. Now, Arken do say that you do not need to update your unit manually. It will do it wirelessly through its OTA wireless software updates. Now, that is obviously going to have to be connected to Wi-Fi, but with a lot of units, you've got to manually do this. So I think that's a good touch. I saw some rabbits out at between 140 yards and 250 yards. I range found a house which was just over 300 yards. But like I say, you can't really see it on the footage. But overall, I think the unit did a great job. I didn't do such a great job at holding the unit steady, but I think with its minimum magnification of 5 times, unless you are resting, you're going to find that a bit tricky anyway. And when you get up to 20 times magnification, you've no chance unless you're resting on a fence post, a gate, something like that. To get the footage from your Arken device, all you have to do is one of two things. You can either use the memory card, take that out of the unit and put it into your PC, or you can download the Arken app from the App Store, where you'll be able to seamlessly transfer files via Wi-Fi to your iPad, iPhone, or your Android device. As you can see here, it's dead simple. All you've got to do is turn the unit on and then marry it up with the Wi-Fi.
So I suppose the million-dollar question is, should you buy one? Well, I've given you all the good points and all the bad points, and in my personal opinion, for £599 you are getting an awful lot for your money. Now, arguably, something like the PARD DS35 is going to give you a better image on an evening. However, it is £250 more expensive with these features. So I think it's a real great unit, and if you bought one, you would not be disappointed. If you do want to buy one, you can click the link in the description below to do so. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll be bringing you more videos soon.